today?
Pace. Talking about pace.
Good topic. I think I've got something here. Stand by, caller.
Stand by for orders.
This is a really important topic. All right.
Rolling?
Let's go.
Rolling.
Let's go.
Welcome to our FJC podcast or FJC Talks.
Wow.
FJC Talks. Okay,
I'm not going to be the only person talking, right?
Well, kinda.
Praise
Nah. We got more people coming.
Good.
But bro, it's been good so far. So we
That's
are
subjective.
on our. No, it's not subjective. Anyone with a little bit of brain will know this is getting good. Getting good. And look at that, you're getting famous. You've been called into other podcasts.
Not because of this.
It is because of this, bro. This is a spiritual seed on the ground, you know? I
Wow.
like to think that. Anyway, well, welcome. Today we're talking about pace. We think it's really important.
Did you say bass?
Pace.
Bass.
Pace.
Pace.
Pace. We're talking
P
about pace.
for Peter. P for Pedro.
P for Pedro. There you go.
A for apple. C for cucumber.
Wow. Your spelling is really great, bro.
E.
You should try that on the telemarketing company.
E for egg.
Egg. You egg. All right, we're talking about pace because it's important.
It is important before we go into like planning, because I think planning's vital. The 5 P's: prayer,
Yeah.
plan. Plan's the second priority, but often we can put our planning through a lens of speed, and we often over-predict what we can do in 1 year, but underestimate what we can do in 10 years.
Yeah.
That's not my saying. That's just a no-one
Yeah.
thing. And in fact, most of what I say is not me. It's accumulation of
Yeah.
thought.
That big brain of yours. It just accumulated.
Not very big at all. So pace is vital because you start planning and you're going too fast from the start because you want to achieve great things
Yeah.
in the first year. But you need to try and take a 10-year pace. So that means reducing your plan. So, rhythmic. It has to be rhythmic, has to be in accordance with the people you have, acceptance where they're at. There has to be the capacity, measure your capacity for that, and there has to be a right expectation.
Wow. There's a lot of how questions right there. Like, how do you measure your capacity?
Sure.
How do you understand the capacity of the people? Because you can't plan according to the capacity of your people if you haven't started anything yet.
Let's start with people, P. You've got to honor what you have. This will affect your pace.
Yeah.
Often, people say they don't despise small beginnings.
Yeah.
They just want something better than what they've got.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not despising?
Yeah.
So,
Human nature.
human nature.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something better out there. I hope God brings them along.
Yeah.
So that it's better than what I've got.
Yeah.
And often that's people.
Yeah.
I wish I had a better piano player.
I just said that 2 minutes ago. I wish I had a third camera right there. And when I had the third camera, I wish I had something else. You know?
So you've got to honor what you already have.
Yeah.
And trust the fact that what you are entrusted with is sufficient for the supply you need from the Lord.
Yeah.
So you need to put a bit of a blindfold on and honor the person that's God's brought in front of you. With church planning, if you start down the track of saying, if we just had another camera, if we just had another better singer, if we just had another, you're starting to despise what you have. And don't despise small beginnings. People look at, chapel music and go, wow, it's amazing. But it didn't start there.
Mm-hmm.
It started by honoring what we had, the gifts that God had brought to us at that time. So that's the people. That's the first part of your pace. You can't go faster than the slowest. as a community of believers. And even in that, where are you going anyway? I don't think it's a direction or movement. I think it's a tree growth.
Yeah, we talked about tree. How often does a tree move in its life?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
I keep saying to people, we're not going anywhere. We live on the Gold Coast. We're going to change the city. Well, then we don't need to move.
Yeah.
We don't need you to get on a bus. We don't need you to get on a train and just get in line with the vision because we're going.
Yeah.
Where are we going? Nowhere. We're a tree planted by rivers of living water, and we will grow. And we started small as a seed.
Yeah.
And then a shrub, and then a small tree. So P is for people.
Yeah. And that is transferable with time. I remember a couple of days ago, we had a meeting about some of the things that we're doing here. And one of the young guys in that meeting grew up here. I remember when I left, I think he was 13, 12, something like that. And I saw them as kids on our Ignite, and they transitioned to youth. They stuck around. Today they do amazing things. And what he said in that meeting actually stuck with me, and I was waiting for the time for us to share this, because he said, I saw this thing really small, and it doesn't surprise me if God does it again, because look at what's happening now. So that's transferable. Now, the faith that you have, the trust in the small beginnings, or whatever people call it, that you have, has transferred to at least that small group of people who've seen it happening over the last 10 years, 11 years.
Yeah. If you love what you have, then you'll find contentment.
Yeah.
So,
but there is a challenge there. I'm not sure if we should go there, but there is a challenge with, you love what you have, and in the church world, there's a lot of people who love the small church. I just love the small church. But what they mean is, I wish this church never changes. I wish it stays like this forever. And if it's staying like that forever, I mean, there is the element of it's not going out, it's not reaching other people, not for the sake of reaching other people, but how long do you stay the same forever until everyone dies and no fruit?
It's impossible. If you stay the same forever, you'll die. You won't live. So it's that's just I think a fantasy, nostalgia maybe, because it is beautiful when it's small.
Yeah, and nostalgia is it's like a dangerous thing.
Yeah, if
don't
you live
say
there.
back in the good old days.
No, this is the best day today.
Yeah.
Me and you here right now, it's the best day.
Come on.
So why would I worry about yesterday? Because I can't change it, and tomorrow's not even there. So people will affect your pace.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't drive your people because you want them to last 10 years.
You keep saying 10 years. Why?
Well, you overestimate what you can achieve in 1 year, but underestimate what you can achieve in 10 years. So,
do you
10
think
years.
It's a mark there? Like, you've done it for long enough. Now let's have a look. What's the magic with your 10-year number?
Well, I just think it reduces your short-term expectation on pace. Like, we should be going faster, but hang on a sec. If I go this pace for a year that I can handle, that's easy, that's light.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Then 10 years time, it'll be far greater than what I could do anyway.
It's 1 times 10 on that pace. It's not 10 times 10 and you burn out on the third year.
Yeah. No, you just go 1. You go slow. And it's often slower than you think. It's got to be slower than you think. So, in dealing with your own performance, own expectation.
Oh, wow.
Dealing with your own guilt of I'm not doing enough.
Should we call the counselor now? Because I'm going to start crying right now.
Yeah, you have to deal with that, because what are we striving for anyway? So pace, you determine the pace for your plan. So I'm always trying to slow down because people don't want to rush. Why? That's the rate of the world, is rush and speed. There's a TV campaign in New Zealand once that said, the greater the speed, the bigger the mess.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah. So what's the rush? So pace. So even slow down your talk, slow down your walk.
Yeah.
Why do we have to? Jacob said, I think I mentioned it before in Esau when they reconciled. Jacob's like, you go ahead, but I'm going to go at the pace of the slowest, so that we all get there. Now we're not going anywhere, so we just grow at the speed in which the tree can handle the growth. But how fast is that? Well, that's dependent on
the slowest.
On the slowest.
The chain is only as strong as the weakest link.
Yeah.
I hate the expression weakest link when we refer to people, but
who's weak? How do you know what weak is?
Yeah.
So it'll grow in accordance to how the Lord wants it to grow. We just happen to be a facilitator of what the Lord is doing. We don't determine the actual growth, because He adds an increase. We can manufacture, we can engineer, and then we get our hands involved, and then God will go, okay, you want to do it?
You do it.
You do it. But how you get it is how you have to keep it.
Yeah.
So I remember this, at one gathering early on, and it was just a mess. It was a train wreck. I don't believe in it's fatal. I don't believe in that. But it was just horrible, awkward. And I just kept saying to myself, how it is not how it will be. Why put pressure on the people to perform to appease your own expectation?
Yeah.
Just how it is not how it will be. If the family here right now can't handle this awkwardness, this clunky, then they won't be able to handle something greater in the future. So you've just got to allow that gap of major imperfection and frailty and flaw and mistake, and just allow the community to absorb it. If you're always trying to cover for the misses of people, then one, it stops learning, and two, I don't think you give people the trust they need to make their own choices.
I have to admit, I listened to you saying all this, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people will have the same feeling. It comes down to, a lot of it comes down to your personality. You have that capacity to withdraw yourself when it's a mess, and you have the expectations like, I want it to be this way. But before you burst out on anyone, you withdraw, and you think, not many people have that quietness to themselves and that pace to themselves. And then I keep referring back in my mind.
You know why? Because it's not a reflection on me.
What's not a reflection on you? The mess. That day.
It's not going to affect me. That doesn't define me. That mistake doesn't, expose my leadership. That doesn't determine who I am.
But you see how counterculture that is in our days, because, everything rises and falls in leadership. So this
is part of that shift that's significant from success.
Yeah.
That doesn't determine who I am. For me, leadership's three things. It's servanthood, it's communication, and it's problem solving. So I'm here to serve. So if someone makes a mistake, what does the servant do? I just come and clean it up.
Clean it up, yep.
If they make a mistake, obviously I haven't communicated clear enough. So instead of ripping into them, I just put it in a note and say in my head, I'll make sure I communicate better next time. What's the point of harping on about a mistake now?
Yeah, it already happened.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'll serve and clean it up. That's why I say it doesn't matter how it is. I'm here. I'm here. I'll serve.
Yeah.
I don't care, if there's mistakes on everything. Doesn't matter. I'm here. Awesome. I'm a servant. I can clean up. I can lift. I can serve. I can help.
Yeah.
And
Serving,
then problem
communicating, and problem solving.
They're the three aspects of leadership. People say it's influence. People say it's decision making. People say it's, chieftainship, whatever. For me, it's servanthood. Jesus came to serve.
To serve and not to be served.
And so I want that posture.
Yeah.
So I will not rip into anyone, any people, because of their performance.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. They're doing the best with what they have right now.
That's it.
And but they made some mistakes in their personal walk with the Lord. So,
haven't we all?
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
So you just got to love the people.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean compromising your values. That doesn't mean compromising truth.
Yeah.
So, I'm not talking about sin. I'm talking about permissible, those things.
And you keep improving yourself as a leader too, because if you go back to yourself and say, oh, maybe I haven't communicated properly this time.
Yeah.
And then, man, if you're patient enough and you persevere enough for 10 years, 20 years, you will have another opportunity. Plenty of opportunities.
Yeah.
To do it right.
You got to pace yourself, and you, as a leader, and it's never your pace, it's people's pace. It's the pace of the people.
Yeah.
So
there's no point in the shepherd going ahead.
Nah.
I remember you used this metaphor quite a few times with me. Some shepherds, they have to force themselves to lead from the back.
Yeah.
You go behind the sheepfold and behind the flock, and you just keep pushing them a little bit at a time.
That's what I prefer, to be honest, because I love people. I don't want anyone to fall off.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like you're unintentionally, but intentionally saying, I don't want you to follow me. I want to help you go on this journey.
Where are we going?
That God is leading us.
Where are we going?
Yeah, you don't know. Only God knows.
A tree doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, we're going nowhere. Yeah.
We're a tree planted. God planted us here. And birds will find shelter in our canopy.
Yeah.
And we will feed people by the fruit from our tree.
Mm.
But you can't do that without people. So if people are your priority, you have to prioritize.
And the metaphors are so rich because you keep referring to a tree planted by the rivers of living water. And then I remember, I think it's Psalm 1 when it talks about that tree, the fruits, like other birds will come, and Jesus uses the same analogy. They will come and build a nest on that tree. So we're not trying to do anything to the outside world. We're doing it right here. And if God sends birds and people to feed off that tree, great.
Agree. So people, this will affect your pace.
Mm.
Yeah, but my people are slow, and they're not very driven or motivated. Well, that's okay.
Yeah, don't despise.
Don't despise that. Honor that.
Mm.
Be an example to the flock. So if you set an example, Peter says that. Be an example to the flock that God has entrusted to you.
One of my favorite verses.
So how you get them is how you have to keep them. If God brought them, then he'll keep bringing them in accordance to your capacity and honor of those you have. So,
and your faithfulness.
So increase. Faithfulness is multiplication, not loyalty. So if you're multiplying things in people's life, then, they'll grow.
Yeah.
And they'll change because they see your passion, my devotion to the Lord. They see my faithfulness to my family and my wife. They see my stewardship of what I have and what we have as a community. And so that's an example for the flock, and that inspires and engenders change. If they don't want to change and be, because they're challenged, then there's plenty of other faith communities that can.
I think what you said will go unnoticed. So you probably
go unnoticed.
I think, you probably want to backtrack because you said faithfulness is not loyalty. Faithfulness is increase and multiplication.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit more about that? Because that is rich, and I don't think many people actually get that.
Okay. So the talents, 5, 2, and 1.
Mm.
The guy with 5 got 5 more.
Yeah.
Person with 2 got 2 more. Person with 1 was loyal.
Yeah, very loyal. I kept it here because I was fearful.
Yeah. So, well done, good,
and
faithful servant. Well done, good, faithful. Faithful is the multiplication of what you have. Loyalty is here. I've given back what is yours.
Mm.
What happened to loyalty?
Yeah,
you wicked, lazy servant. That also highlights the agenda of the person with the 1, because he's like, you reap where you have not sown. In other words, you're going to get all the credit and all the glory for my work.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to do anything.
So I'm not going to do it.
I'm only going to do it when I get the reward.
So faithfulness is also acknowledgement that it's not yours anyway.
Yeah.
But you're multiplying it for the glory of the master. Whereas the one is lazy and wicked because they just were loyal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of loyal believers out there. I'm not interested in
any
loyalty.
Promises. In the parable, there's like, here's 5 talents, here's 2 talents. That's it.
Yeah.
No promises. Like,
No
I'm going to give you
promises.
more if you...
No, because that would engender a performance.
Yes.
It's, when you're not told to, what you default to is the revelation you live to. So we don't tell anyone what to do. We just honor the people that are there, serve the people that are there, and be an example, I hope, of what it is to be devoted to the Lord, faithful to his calling, a servant of all, as best I can. Look, it's not great on a lot of things, but that's my heart. And so pace, you have to go in accordance to the people. There's no point running ahead, and there's no point being lazy. Sheep don't know what's going on. They just want to make sure they've got food on the table. This is what the Lord says, to gather together and eat the grass and drink the drink and have a sleep. And if you do that well and serve them well, you'll always have enough people to serve in front of you. Don't worry about the people not there. Focus on the ones that are. So, when you run events, churches run events all the time, often the pastor's looking about, oh man, who's not there? They didn't turn up. They didn't turn up. So that moments of when you're thinking about someone not there, you're dishonoring the one who is.
That's your unfaithfulness. Instead of multiplying what's inside it or what's in the lives of the people who are there, you're thinking of those who...
I will never comment. I'll never comment on size of a crowd based on my disappointment. So the other night we had a worship night. I have my own expectations, my own desires.
Natural.
There weren't as many as I thought, but I did not comment on that.
Yeah.
I'm like, honor you. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Yeah.
Let me share a simple psalm, a simple thought.
Family devotion.
Like you said. Yeah. It was awesome. Simple, but I'm not going to say, oh man, it's school holidays, there's no one there. Oh, a lot of people are sick. All I'm doing is making excuses for the deficiency I have in my own expectation.
What can you do to get the other people in?
These people aren't here. Like, honor the ones that are. Yeah. And that's the people that you've got to prioritize the people there.
That's actually a lesson for this and for myself. As I'm looking at the background of this, I'm like, how do we get you that person and that person? But everyone who's watching this, they want to see this, so we honor them, make this for them, help them on their journey. That's beautiful.
So that's people. Secondly is I call that acceptance.
Yeah.
You've got to accept what God has given. So otherwise it's going to be a really sad, you're never going to find contentment. You've got to try and see the gold in everyone. Yeah. And so accepting where they're at. Oh, is this all?
Is this what God has for me?
Yeah, well then you won't move forward.
Yeah.
If you
Isn't
don't
that the first step on the AA? Admit that you have a problem. Yeah, we are at a certain degree we all dependent on something.
Yeah. If you at the start or early on are looking for someone better than what you already have, that'll never stop because there's always someone better. You have to accept where people are at.
Wow.
So if people are slow in a lot of things, then that's the pace you have to go.
And I think you told me that a few times way back, same thing. Like if you want something done and they're not going to do it just like you because you have your own standards, but you have to accept the fact that they're going to do maybe 50% of your expectation, but they're only going to grow if you let them do the 50%.
Yep.
So I bet there are a lot of people in our community that we were like, oh, this could have been done, this or that.
For sure.
But then...
Accept the sound how it is, because how it is not how it will be. Yes. Accept the musicians how they are, because how they are is not how they'll be. Accept the preaching, how it is. How it is not how it will be. So there's this understanding that it'll grow in the future. Yeah. So I just always have this expectation. This is going to grow. because I prioritize the people. I accept the people where they're at, and we can go from there.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for someone else, someone better.
Wow. It's really good, man. Anyone starting or thinking about planning their church, they should really dwell in at least these 2 points, people and acceptance.
Yeah.
Because you can't plan well if you don't have that grounded. You plan wrong.
Yep.
And I'm talking from experience. Like I've done the wrong plan for years. And
we often plan for growth rather than planning for stewardship.
Yeah.
You should only plan with what you have.
Yeah.
Not plan for what you assume or presume. A lot of people make their plans out of presumption.
Yeah. And the hard truth is, if you start in the church and after 6 months or a year or how long it takes, you have 15 people, guess what? That's your capacity. Like you're looking outside and looking at other people, and you're deluding yourself when you think, there should be 50 people here. No, there's not 50 people there because it's your capacity. It will burn you out.
Yep. So that's where I believe it should grow. So something needs to change.
Yeah.
Always start with all the things with church, with people are very poor metrics of measurement. So, attendance, baptisms, decisions to follow Christ, connect group, small group, Bible study attendance, giving. All these are really poor metrics.
Really subjective.
But they are a metric. And then there's how do you measure the spirit in the place? How do you measure the attrition, the maturity? So and that's why you shouldn't do that in a year. You should do that in over a 10-year span and not set goals for it, because you're only disappointing yourself. We're going to have 100 decisions for the Lord this year. Why?
Are you God? All of a sudden, you know what's going to happen.
Why? Is that just false hope? See, faith is substance of things hoped for. So if you're not diligent with the one person who's decided to follow Christ in your community now, and they're walking in a growing relationship with the Lord now, what makes you think you'll be trusted with 100? God's not foolish. He doesn't give us more than we can handle.
Yeah.
So you need to change. So how long are you preaching for on a Sunday? I preach for an hour. Yeah, well, you won't have kids volunteers. You won't have people listening.
Yeah.
Like,
not normal people though.
Not normal people.
The very
now
very annoying Christians might.
The teacher will say, mate, they need an hour's good teaching. That's fair. But that's another another topic.
That's another topic.
I agree. They do need good teaching. But it depends how you're going to structure the flock in order so that they're getting a good diet and consuming the right food.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. But
I think this specifically this conversation that we're having now, like they should be the first before anything that we have out there.
Maybe.
Because it's like, honestly, you told me many times when we were doing our church in Brazil, it's only a year, Pedro. And looking back now, I mean, it's been nearly 10 years, and looking back now I think I can understand why you told me to write down the poor metrics, but we never had a goal. Like you've always discouraged me to put a goal. My first year I said, there will be 200 people, and you go like, okay, go try that. But you always said, next year you look back, and then not for you to feel bad, but you can see what God has done. Because what you were trying to tell me, if you were intentional about this or not, that's a different thing. But what you were trying to tell me, I can see now, is you planned for stewardship. So how many more people God brought to you? Or, we grew 5%. Okay, so your capacity grew 5%.
Yeah.
So you stick with that 5%.
Honor that.
There.
Oh man, only 5%. Well, don't despise that.
Yeah.
That's a small beginning.
Yeah.
And how it is not how it will be, because you're going to grow from that. Maybe that's the capacity you had in that segment or metric. It's a bad metric, but that's just one aspect of it. Maybe there's internal metrics in the lives of people when it comes to them, sanctifying their life, forsaking addictions or attachments that are unhealthy. You know, fruitfulness can take 3 years for someone. The first year,
not the result.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can change, but fruitfulness might not be for the 3rd year.
Yeah.
You know, what did Jesus say when they came to that withered tree? It hasn't produced fruit in 3 years. Well, let's dig around it. Let's put some fertilizer on it and give it another year. So that's some time. Just give time. And so you got to prioritize people. You've got to accept where you're at. And then capacity, you've got to be realistic with the capacity. So, you know, if you're hiring a facility, don't hire a facility for 1,000 people in faith when you've only got 10 in your lounge room. And that's
not faith. That's pride.
That's pride. That's extreme. That's probably a bad example. You have to know the capacity of your church, not a blind presumption. The capacity of your leaders. Why do you have a leaders meeting every month? You're going to burn them out. Why do you have a staff meeting every week? Why? Why do you have a elders meeting every month? You have an elders meeting on the 1st of the month. The second week, you're setting up meetings to deal with the delegations you've been given from your elders. The 3rd week, you're having the meetings with the people that you've been delegated week 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And then you haven't even resolved or implemented the delegations that they've had, and then you have to have another meeting the next month when nothing's happened.
And then you just read a book in your little time, and then you're trying to put that book into practice. Simon Sinek said that, and all of that, and then
yeah. So it's just slow down.
Yeah.
What's the rush? A tree does not rush its growth. It just grows in accordance to its capacity.
And you said it. It's the pace of the world against, let's call it a spiritual pace, because the pace of the world is fast. But since the beginning, you're saying, 10 years at least. 10 years. We're not going anywhere.
We're only just starting, I think. 10 years. And you've got to implement changes in accordance to your capacity. Some things you prune. Some things you cut off. And you do that through prayer, because prayer is number one. And then planning. Yeah. Based on what the Lord says, you need to implement. Why is he going to say anything different if you haven't done what he's asked you to do? So our planning is real simple. Based on prayer and what he said. So why are we changing what he said? Yeah. I need to change in accordance to what he said. So, and then E is the expectations.
So we don't have the year of this, the year of that, the year of X, Y, and Z.
No, because I don't speak on behalf of the community.
Yeah.
I don't speak on behalf of...
This is the year of breakthrough. Oh, I actually needed healing this year, so I'm going to have to wait.
We don't have a Vision Sunday.
We did have something funny this year, though. It was it's coincidence or just something that happened in the community. Rochelle, your wife, said something. She I think she stumbled over the words, and then we just used that because she wanted to say 2023 in the beginning of the year, and then it came out 2023, and that's how we started or at least our school of ministry and a few other things, and we just want to bless people and give it freely. So it became the 2023 year. But this is the first time we've actually used any of this very lightly.
I think there was more a prophetic unction than a statement for the year.
Yeah.
But it does apply.
Yeah.
I mean, it does apply to everyone. Free. Yeah.
It's not like speaking on behalf of the community. It was just something that happened, and we're like, okay, this is cool.
I'm a servant. A servant doesn't determine what the agenda is.
You respond
in accordance to the need.
Yeah.
I'm just here to clean up. I'm a good cleaner.
You do a little bit more than clean up. But
I literally I'm happy to clean. I generally don't initiate. I respond to invite.
Yeah.
So because I'm a servant. A servant never initiates anything. A servant never knocks on the door and says, hey, I think we should be doing this.
Yeah.
A servant responds to an order. Yes, I'll come and help. So, But expectation's important. So we have a servant team. We have ministers. You know, you're one of them. We have a whole lot of them. We're servants. Yeah. We're not masters. We're available and we're serving what God has asked us to serve. And people respond in according to that, and invitations come in accordance to that, and growth happens in accordance to the capacity of the tree. So, and then E is expectation. You need to sort out your expectation. Otherwise, you're always living in disappointment. I think that's the worst thing for pastors and leaders, teachers, is discouragement. And that's often with unmet expectation. Yeah,
the unspoken expectation.
So if you just have no expectation, but you need expectation, and faith pleases God. Expectation and faith aren't the same thing.
Two different things.
So you've just got to really watch, and that'll help your pace. Oh, we should be here by now.
We're not telling anyone to be negative, though. We're just saying align your expectations.
Yeah, just expect the Lord to do what He will do, and what a privilege to be in the room.
And that will blow your mind away every time.
Yeah.
If you're actually putting your expectations on the Lord and not on the results that you can produce with your own hands, you turn around and go like, flip.
Otherwise, you're always disappointed as a leader in a faith community. You're disappointed. So I don't attach myself emotionally to the metrics that are bad metrics, but I don't attach myself to them. Yeah. Oh, today there was a real quiet Sunday. Oh no. It was awesome Sunday. Oh, bad Sunday. It is what it is. Yeah. How it is.
It's not how it will be. Yeah.
There you go.
And I think the principle is also valid for both ends. You know, most of the examples we used comes down to a small community. But if you're a big church and thousands of people coming and you're really charismatic, drawing a lot of people, how it is, it's not how it will be.
Yeah.
We have seen in the last 20 years how the mighty fall.
Yeah.
And it's ugly. It's ugly. The faster you go, the bigger the mess.
That's the one. The faster you go, the bigger the mess.
Yeah.
So pace is vital, and you constantly have to be not putting your foot on the accelerator. Constantly have to be taking it off, because the temptation is, come on, let's go.
You see, me, the natural preacher in me, when I was thinking about what we were going to share today about pace, I came up like, if one day I'm speaking in any environment, I'm going to use this. Pace brings peace. Nice. And speed brings stress.
That's true.
That's it. Because, you want peace? You got to set your pace.
Slow down.
Because that'll give you peace. That'll bring your shalom.
When you're driving on the streets and you've got a car next to you and they shoot off ahead.
Yeah.
And they, busting their gut at the next set of lights. You just pull up next to them.
Exactly.
And then they shoot off again.
Just look. Mm-hmm.
And then, on the motorway, if you're traveling with friends or family, there's always some racer and they shoot off ahead and they're busting their gut. It's stressful and everyone's in the car going, oh man, this is hard out. They actually only arrive at the destination maybe 2, 3, 10 minutes before you.
Yeah.
So with all that stress, what have they actually gained? Is it really
worth it? Not worth it.
What have they gained? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing except a stressful ride.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just go at a pace where everyone's happy, then you get there with peace and everyone's enjoyed it.
The rewards are much greater.
Everyone's enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What a great... Did you see that on the way? Oh, yeah, I saw that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So, that's my pace.
Before you start planning, make sure you understand everything that was said about pace. People.
It comes from prayer. So before you plan, your pace comes from prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer is not asking God into your will. Prayer is bringing yourself into His will. Prayer, we think we initiate anything with prayer. We don't. I think this is from Eugene Peterson. I just like that perspective. We never initiate anything with prayer. Yeah. Oh, let's start with prayer.
Yeah.
As if we start with anything. We never start anything.
Yeah, prayer moves us.
Prayer is a response to what already is, which is God. He is.
Yeah.
So prayer positions us to Him.
Yeah, I think it's the running with horses or contemplative pasture.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So prayer doesn't bring God into us.
Mm-hmm.
Prayer brings us into God. And that changes your pace because He doesn't measure time like we do.
Mm-hmm.
He can do in 1 year.
Man, God's pace, eh? Wow.
He can do in a year what could take 100 years. Or He can do...
Or He could take His time.
He could take His
do
time.
it in 100 years.
And to still be nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's everything to Him because all we are required to be is obedient and faithful. So we are obedient, walking the line the way that Jesus walked, faithful in the sense of multiplication of what He's given us.
Yeah.
And then He'll say, well done, good, faithful servant. And that's that's all I want for my life. So the slower I go, I just honor whoever's in front of me. Oh, it's not a 10. They're not a 10. They're not a 9. They're not an 8. They're a 3. You know how you can scale levels? I'm like, whose scale is that?
Yeah.
But, I should only be meeting with 9s and 10s.
Robert Greene kind of stuff.
What is that? It doesn't matter who is in front of you.
Yeah.
You need to honor them. They're created in the image and likeness of God. They're going through things and they deserve respect and dignity. And that's the posture I need to have. I don't always have it. Sometimes I'm moments of weakness, many times. But that's what I should be modeling. Jesus, man. Like perfect model.
Yeah. Look at the disciples. So losers.
Get these kids out of here. What's a kid going to ever do for an adult?
Yeah, nothing.
What does Jesus say? Hang on a sec. Mate, this is the kingdom of God.
Yeah. If you want to get in, you learn from them.
Come here, little kids. Wow. So, I'm just constantly challenged by my pace. I spend a lot of time in prayer and planning. I'm planning my calendar. I prioritize people because I love people. So how is that reflecting on my calendar and how am I not going to get burnt out? I just need to slow down.
I don't want this to go much longer because we've said enough like this. It's a lot, but this is one of the complications with our modern ways of thinking church, because I've heard it said many times, pastors don't plan churches, leaders plan churches. But that's the problem. Leaders don't plan and leaders don't pray. They plan a lot, but they don't pray. They think it's a waste of time. And again, I'm talking from experience. It's just like, let's go. Because you think you know what you're doing and you don't pray. And therefore your plan is flawed because there's no pace in it. You burn people and you don't understand your capacity. You overestimate your capacity because you think you're the superhero. You think you can save the world, and you put Jesus aside and you use people and you hurt people. And the beautiful thing with true shepherds, true pastors, is that they will spend their time praying, and the plan will look slow and chew humble, one step at a time.
Yeah.
But you look around, the churches that have survived the test of time, they're all done that way, slow.
I think so. I hope so. I certainly don't feel like we're missing out on anything because we're going slow.
Yeah,
I think we're rich in community because of our pace and prayer. I think leaders don't pray is because leaders are called, so they presume that God is with them.
Yeah, they put the expectations on them.
So God is with me. So I don't need to spend all the time in prayer because He's anointed and appointed me for such a time as this. Whatever I say is anointed by God and in line with God. So we're going to go this way. And I just pray and I bring God into my walk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, pace shifts everything. Prayer shifts everything. When you realize how small you are in the heart of God, wow.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm more conscious of His presence. Where am I going? Why do I need to go anywhere? It doesn't matter. Yeah, he's all I need. He sustains me.
Yeah,
I'm just here to serve the people. So I don't know. I just think pace is vital.
Yeah. Amen. Awesome. That was Pace. Thanks for watching. And we'll go back to the next episode talking about God knows what. Really cool.
Pace. That was deep.